Today we're going to talk about Tantra. Oh yeah, we're going to have some sexy talk and internal family systems and how we can use these practices for increased connection with our bodies, with our various parts of ourselves, with the world, and with each other. Learning to love and accept even those bad parts and people in both our inner and outer worlds. Our guide today on this journey through the body, mind, each other, into the universe, through the perineum and our past, is sex and couple therapist Nathalie Giraud Desforges. All right, so today we're going to talk about internal family systems and hypnosis, as well as Tantra. So let's start with... Actually, you can start. It's a choose your own adventure. Start with any one of those three. Eventually, we're going to combine them all together, but just start wherever you want.
Okay, it's morning, Michael. It's beautiful sunshine where I am. I can look at the sea and the forest in front of me, and I'm going to start with Tantra because Tantra was the first step into my journey towards IFS and hypnotherapy. And Tantra was a journey that I started in 2003 when I came to France, because I lived for 15 years in the UK. And when I arrived in France, that was a long time since I hadn't been there. And I arrived in the south of France, and I had my second son who was born. And for the first time for a long, long time, I had time for myself. And I started to enjoy nature and to enjoy sunshine on my skin and to be with nature and to almost live through nature and to swim naked in the swimming pool and to sunbathe naked. Yeah. And it was like, wow, I'm discovering many really good, nurturing stuff for me and taking time for me. So that's when I started over 20 years ago, the journey towards my own desire and who I was, not the wife of, not the mother of, not the entrepreneur, but the woman inside me. And that's when I started my journey with Tantra and with sexuality. Because over 20 years ago, almost 22 years now, I introduced in France the first new principles of sex toys through gathering between women to talk about sexuality, because I wanted to discover my own desire and not the desire of my husband or the other man that I've met, and I wanted to discover who I was and where my own desire. And Tantra offered me a golden plate because of this philosophy of this spiritual path that is very, very ancient, because it's almost 5,000 years that when it started in Tibet, in India, is saying that your body is a temple, and your body, including your genitals, including all the dirty parts, including all the part sex that is dirty, that is not to be talked about, that is taboo, is to be worshipped and is a vessel towards what we call awakening and towards altered state of consciousness and a heightened pleasure with your partner and with yourself will encourage you to access to the whole, to the world, and connect to the world and connect more to nature and connect more to what you're doing. And instead of anticipating and controlling, because I had very, very strong controlling part that was cutting me off from enjoying what was happening right here and now, was telling me, well, come back to your sensations, come back to your body, come back to what your body is telling you, come back to the perceptions, be the sensations, and be your whole sensations. And there's no shameful parts, everything, your nose is as beautiful as your clitoris. And I was thinking, wow, that's a bit strange. And your knee is as beautiful as your testicles. And I was thinking, God, that's weird. But I mean, it had sense because when you're born, there's no shameful part. The child enjoyed the whole of the body. Shame is put upon through education, through all sorts of moral principles. And sometimes they are really good because they give you a path to follow and you are within the community and it enables you to live and to socialize because shame is interesting way to think about. Shame is always something that is put, I compare it to a piece of cloth that is put on your shoulder by somebody else or by a group of people. And this piece of cloth is impregnated with all sorts of morals and things that are forbidden and taboo. And it's put on your shoulder. And when it's put on your shoulder, is bringing judgment with it because this piece of cloth is not recognition and is not virtuous stuff. It's things that you bad. What you do is bad. And not even what you do is bad, but you are bad. And what you feel is bad. And you are a bad, bad, bad person. And so this piece of cloth is brought onto you, not by yourself, but by somebody else or a group of people or through whatever, religion, moral, education, principles, whatever. And I had on my shoulder a really heavy piece of cloth, thinking that sex was dirty, my body was dirty, and money was dirty. And I started a business where I was offering sex toys to talk about sexuality, when in my inner sides, sex was dirty and money was dirty. So I had a long journey ahead of me to discover that sex is beautiful, and feelings, whatever you feel, is beautiful. As long as there's consent and as long as you respect yourself and you respect the other one. And that money is great. And then combining both is wonderful. So I became a sex therapist as well, and a couple therapist, and an IFS therapist, and a supervisor now for couple therapists and for sex therapists, and talking as well, because I did a TED talk on sexuality. But I couldn't talk about sexuality in France in 2012. It was not allowed. I could only say,
Oh, wow.
you see, in France, you couldn't talk
In
about
France,
sexuality.
I thought France was like,
In
you're talking
France,
about you're swimming naked earlier. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You're France. No.
that's okay. But I was swimming naked in my swimming pool. But
Uh,
now I can swim naked in the sea, and that's okay for me, as long other people won't see me. But even this step of doing it by myself, for myself, was really hard work. Really piece of hard work. So it was Tantra when I met through the job I was doing, which was quite unique when I started it, talking about sexuality through sex toys, doing education because I wanted to do my own. And I've got a brain and I've got diploma, and I used that to start that business. But it was really a business, a journey towards discovering and talking and experiencing what I hadn't experienced before. So I used my curiosity and my compassion towards myself and what was happening. So here you are, started with Tantra to connect with myself.
yeah, I want to keep talking about tantra. Yeah, and I have some questions about sex as well. Of course, we all do. But everything you're saying actually reminds me of internal family systems as well, IFS. So we have these parts of ourselves, these exiles that we kind of hide away and say, you're bad. And we've got these guys protecting. I don't know, you get into it. What is IFS and how does it connect with Tantra?
Okay. IFS, as you said, Michael, means internal family system. So inside ourselves, and it's renaming what Tantra is naming, what Gestalt therapy is doing, what all sorts of other therapies are talking about, except is using a vocabulary that enables the person, or enabled me, to make sense of a lot of things that was happening to me. That separating, you are not the bad person. There's a part of you that is doing such and such a thing that is perceived as bad outside, or you yourself perceive as bad. Or, for instance, when I came to your interview, I would say there was a part of me, and my heart was beating fast, and I could feel my hand a bit that were not as dry as usual, and I could sense some tension in my upper body. This is a part of me that was feeling worried for myself, and that was feeling, okay, Nathalie, you haven't talked, you haven't spoken English for a while. You're going to talk about personal stuff, because I saw your interviews and the way you interview Michael, and I thought, okay. And I reassured that part of myself. And I said, that's okay. It's protective part, protecting me, and is protecting an exile inside that I know very well. And this exile, you can talk about it as your inner child. And this inner child has experienced shame in front of a class when I was younger, and so has been frightened ever since. And I've pacified it, and I say, okay, you're not, 8 any longer, and it's not an exam. But I could feel that inside me, so I pacify it. And IFS is the journey towards getting to know your protective system, getting to know the intention of all those parts doing stuff inside you, for you, on your behalf, because at one moment you were stuck in a situation or a memory or whatever, in an event, that where you experience things that were not good for you. And so your protective layer around you, I can sense it because it's physical, it's part that is holding physical memory, is protecting this inner child from reliving, from living again that. And IFS is enabling the process to unload the burdens that the protectors are doing, because sometimes their work is really hard. My controlling part, it was really hard. It was controlling the whole way. It was controlling me in my intimate life as well. Whereas all I wanted was to surrender and lâcher prise, and and give in. And all I was doing was to give more to the other, but I didn't realize that I was controlling. That was a part of me controlling. So I would give and not receive, because when I receive, I let go, or potentially I let go. So the IFS is enabling you to map out your system, to give a voice to that system, and to check the positive intention, because usually it's positive intention of the part of you that is doing whatever is doing, and sometimes is triggering other parts, shaming the behavior. And so you begin to understand. By understanding, you give compassion, love, and with love you are able to put away the critical parts and listen to what's happening, and unburden whatever needs to be unburdened, and go toward your exile. And from your adult, you can sit next to your exile and listen and relieve the traumatic experience without being blended and without being overwhelmed. And you can unburden all the way through and regain the qualities that you had lost or put on the side. And so you do many repairs along the way, and it's a healing process. And you do it through altered state of consciousness, which is also meditation, type of meditation, but it's also breathing in and going inside. And it's not, we're not exchanging eyes to eyes, eye contact, but we're doing it. This gaze is turning inside. And Tantra would say that your heart opens up a space. And in IFS, you say that you bring in your inner love, yourself, and yourself will accompany the journey. So those are different words. We don't talk about, and we talk in IFS, the energy of the self, the energy of love and compassion and curiosity and communication. And we bring that inside. And Tantra would say, okay, you're opening your chakra, the heart chakra here, and you bring that awareness inside. So it's different vocabulary, but it's going the same thing, which is to unburden and feel lighter and more powerful inside you. So it's different way to accompany, and I bring the language parts to Tantra when I do my seminars or when I educate with my boys. I started to use the IFS language because it's very, it's putting away the shame. You say, well, it's not you, not bad. Your behavior is causing me pain, causing me anger, but you as yourself, you're not a bad person. And IFS say there are no bad parts. Even the suicidal part has got the intention, positive intention for your body, for you, is to stop the suffering. But there would be another part inside you that say you're bad to think about suicide, etc. And so that would create a havoc inside and would exhaust the system. Yeah. So it's understanding this big mix.
Right. So we have all these kind of different personalities or parts inside of us, but it seems it's usually unconscious. We might be conscious of a couple of the parts, but we don't really listen to them necessarily. So what is the process like for even discovering or identifying these different parts of ourselves that we've probably forgotten about or we just aren't listening to normally?
I'm going to ask you, Michael, when you came to this interview or when we started to chat through, how was it for you? How was it inside? What was happening? Was that neutral?
No.
How was it? How was it on a feeling wise, emotional wise, through your body? What was happening?
I was nervous. I was kind of scared because not that you're going to reject me, but you might ignore me. You might think I'm annoying. My heart was a little bit going faster than normal, and it is right now too, because it's this side of me, this part of me that's expecting to get rejected or something. And honestly, I don't even know how to put it in words right now. But I felt like confident to reach out to you and to email you, but I always was kind of worried. There's this part of me that was like, "You're doing it wrong. That's not how you're supposed to say it. She's gonna interpret this way. You got to do it better. You got to do it better." There's a bit of that criticism going on, but I just figure everyone has that. So I was like, okay, well, just keep going. But yeah.
So in language part, thank you, Michael, for putting and showing, sharing with us this awareness of this nervous part. You had obviously a curious one, wanted to exchange with me, and going into a topic that you hadn't talked about before. And you had behind this nervous part was hidden, was below it. You had what we would call an exile or an inner child that probably had felt and lived through rejection before and knew that there was a risk in coming towards me. And you could sense that. You could sense it through sensation in your body. You could sense it emotionally, with fear and the journey. And you had also your resource because you've already interviewed many people. You've already sent those mails, approaching people also. So
Yeah.
you use that, Michael, nowadays in 2024, you use that to do whatever you did. Nonetheless, you've still got your inner family that is warning you, and your critics, as you call it, and saying, "Ooh, beware!" Preparing you in case there is a rejection. So you probably, in doing that, don't feel as rejected. But if we were in a session, and if it was really like, it doesn't. Comment est-ce qu'on dit? Ça ne t'empêche pas. It's not disabling you from reaching towards this other, but if it was disabling you from reaching towards the other, then you would bring that in the therapy, and we would go towards the protectors and pacify the protectors, or get to know the protectors, so they would start to trust yourself to go towards that inner child that experienced rejections. And you would probably sit to your inner child, and maybe would know you, not know you, and would learn to trust you and to let go, and to show you how much of that pain and how much of that rejections, how much of that loneliness it had experienced, and probably let go, which would mean that next time you may have that, but you would be much more confident into doing it. I'm not saying you need that because you've done it, so obviously it's not hindering you. It's not a big burden.
Yeah, but I could do it in a more excited way. Like instead, my perception will be, I'm so excited to learn about Tantra and about sex and all this stuff. Woo. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared, but I'm smiling and I'm relaxed. Yeah, there's that inner child who's scared inside, but he's kind of just walking alongside me, and we're in a good relationship now. How do you get there
Yeah,
though? That's it seems like it's based off like real life rejection or real life events that happened at some point that we just kind of never looked at.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly that. It's also, we diminish that, and we hide it, and it snaps out in different circumstances, and sometimes we don't even know why it's there, and it just jumps at us on a very, very small event, and we don't know why it's there, and sometimes it does collateral damages, because the perception and the understanding is, there hasn't been this weaving of information coming from one to the other, and this going into our past to check what's happening. And the good thing, Michael, the good thing is that we don't need to do 15 years of psychoanalysis to painfully arrive at a state where we can be better. It's it's a journey that I found. I don't need to know the past in details of the person I accompany. I just am with the person. So my presence, the self, my presence, and my curiosity is enough. I don't need to be clever. That's what I love in IFS. I don't need to be clever. I don't need to think for the other person. I just need to be present to the person. I'm a facilitator to the process. So that is wonderful.
But what do you do? I'm imagining like you're closing your eyes and you're some kind of meditation, or someone's asking you questions. You're asking yourself questions. How does this whole process work? Because I think for people listening, they might be like, okay, I get it. I got these other different parts of myself, these personalities, these bad boys and good boys and protectors and exiles. And yeah, but what do I actually do? How do I do it?
So, for your listeners and for yourself, how about right now you put your cup that you were holding in your hands, having a sip of a
I'll
warm
put it down.
um, a warm drink, you put it down, and then you
Pu'er tea.
unfold your you unfold your legs, and then
Okay.
you put your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Why you do that
Hmm.
is not because I want you to do that. It's an invitation. It's just because when you unfold, you get more energy flowing through your body. I mean, it's
Oh.
when you cross your legs when like that, it's less potentially less blood circulation flowing. So when you unfold them, you already advising your feet that they've got a firm ground to rest on. But sometimes you can also, have them crossed inside you, and it's a good way because then your bottom is right on the earth, right on the sofa. And as you unfold your legs and you put them on the floor, then you've got your hands like that. You put them wherever you want. You can put them on your heart, you can put them on your belly, you can put them on your genitals if it feels good because it's warm.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah. That's
can put
good.
them along, you can put them on your thigh.
I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not gonna do that to you. Don't worry.
That's okay.
But you're right. When I took that, I was holding that cup. Like I thought I was just thirsty, or I wanted a little bit of caffeine or something. But actually, maybe what was going on there is I was like a little bit scared, and it was like my little teddy bear in my hand, and I was like kind of crunched up. My hand was in a sort of a fist. That's what happens when you hold a cup. It's like wow. And after you kind of have me just put that cup down, everything else sort of opened up, and I feel more relaxed, and my ideas are um, even flowing a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah. What's next?
So so next, okay, then let's carry on with that sensations.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting you take back your cup that
Oh.
was holding. Yes, you take it back. And if
Hmm.
you listening and you've got a cup, take it in your hand and then invite invitation. So you've got your cup in your hand is now to get yourself and your feet on the ground, and you got security of the ground, or they folded underneath you, and that's okay. And then to just relax and check how your bottom is. Is it, can it be seated more comfortably in the chair? And then your spine, and then naturally you may already have started to close your eyes. And if you, by doing so, it's a natural process of closing the eyes. You turn your attention inside you, you put your awareness inside you. So rather than exchanging um, eye contact, you opening up a space for yourself, and you doing this U-turn, as they say in IFS. I like this expression, doing a U-turn and turning your attention inside you. And it's like as if you were holding a little light, a gentle little light inside you. And by doing so, you put awareness inside. And you can also accompany it with a more ample breath, breathing in and breathing out, more ample breath, and sending your, take what's good with your inner breath, deep inner breath. And by exhaling, you exhale your breath just like inside yourself, as if you were sending love or compassion, or opening up and say, hey, I'm here and I'm curious about what's happening inside me. And you're sending your breath inside you and see where it goes. Maybe it can go towards your toes and then beyond, and maybe it stops. It stops maybe at a point where there's a blockage, or there's a part of you that, inside you that is feeling something, or that's tensing up or contracting, or that's got a little pain. Or maybe also you're opening up to parts that are holding emotions, and you don't know why this emotion is there. And maybe there's some polarized emotions. You may have joy, and you may have fear, and you may have pain, and you may have anxiety, or whatever. And then also be aware of what's happening with maybe mental parts, parts that are running in your head and you're trying to concentrate. And maybe you've got a good student part, a good pupil part. Okay, now I'm following what Nathalie's saying. So am I doing it right? And the part is asking lots, many questions and is worried. And that's a protective part as well. And so opening up the space and like sending, when you're sending a letter and you get a receipt, well, you get a receipt saying, okay, I see you, or I feel you, or I sense you. And it's opening to the world inside you. And sometimes you've got parts who are bringing you images or memories, or that takes you to specific events, or that feeling like outside you, there's something. And it's our inner world is very, very imaginative. So you can be away from my voice and things I haven't said to just check how it is inside you and see what's coming. And you can even find the parts that really, really want your attention or that you'd like to work with. And this may be going towards your hands that are holding the cup with your teddy bear and the hands that felt good and reassured. And put your attention towards that spot. And take some time if that's where you want to work. And I'm saying that for you, Michael, but for those who are listening, that maybe other things are happening. That maybe, you may be more in contact with physical stuff or sensations or whatever. It's your inner world. But because you were with your cup, I'm coming back to you, Michael, and then maybe you can start to focus on that sensation of the cup in your hand and so on. And then what's happening? Is that warm? Is that cold? What is it telling you? What do you feel towards your hands that are holding that cup? How is it? How do you feel towards that part here? Do you feel compassion? Do you feel curiosity? Do you feel perplexed? Do you think, well, that's stupid, I'm doing that? You're just curious. And the process will carry on and carry on. But because we haven't got that much time, then I would say you can thank yourself for whatever has happened and then you be able to share. Thank yourself for opening up that space and then gently comes back, but you've already got your eyes open, I think, and then gently comes back to here, to the space there. And then it's like a journey coming back up. Went down, now you're coming back up. That's why hypnotherapy has helped me use that process to get in. And I'm fine tuning it. But hypnotherapy is, for me, part of the process, but it's not the process I'm using because you need, for me, staying conscious and working with the conscious parts is much, 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 much better than going into unconsciousness, not knowing what has happened. It's more, the results are much more beneficial and long term for the body, for the soul. So, how was it for you?
Yeah, I feel like I've just been hypnotized. In preparing for this interview, I started playing around with self hypnosis. So I, for example, downloaded the Reverie app from David Spiegel at Stanford. He has this app called Reverie and has some self hypnosis. I've been doing that the past few days, and that's kind of how I felt with this. Your eyes close, your eyes kind of start moving, even like a little bit left to right. For me, it feels like, and when you were talking just now, my eyes naturally closed. My hand kind of like raised up, like got lighter in some weird way, and my eyes started kind of going left to right, listening to your words or
Mhm.
something else. And that was interesting. There were more visuals or more vivid visuals in my head, partly because my eyes were closed, and
Mm.
I guess we normally don't even allow
Mm.
ourselves to enter that internal space much in our waking life. We usually just reserve that for the dreams,
Mm.
for the sleep time. But just sitting here,
Yeah.
my body, closing my eyes and entering that inner world and spending some time there. I don't know what the point was, or where I was going, or even how I felt towards my cup in my hand or whatever. It was more of just like a, hey, nice to see you here. Who are you? We didn't have a lot of time to talk, but I imagine if you keep going in there and keep going in there and just spending time in yourself, I guess you start to build the
Mm.
relationship and build the trust. But this was sort of uh, not a first encounter, but a
Mhm.
kind of, hey, nice to meet you, long time no see. We didn't really have a lot of time to talk, but it felt nice to sort of be back home inside myself.
Yeah, and you pronounced that word, which was be home. It's your home is inside, and then you've got your outside world, but nurturing your inner world, your inner home brings you more security. And from that security, you can weave connection and relationship. But if your inner home is unstable, it's very difficult to weave connection and security with the outside world. Because if something is a bit shaken, then the whole thing explodes because your inner world, your inner, I know in Tantra, we would say your inner world, but also it's how your perineum, your body sits on your butt or sits on your perineum, and how you feel your body. And it starts with that area, the perineum. Perineum is the area where the breathing comes in, the perception of um, your dorsal, your spine, sits on your coccyx, and then starts to go up, and that's where the energy can flow in, and then go towards your heart, and your heart can feel that, and then you can send that out, or out towards the world, somebody, or you can send that inside you. And there's this what we call the wheel of the chakra, that is will bring energy. And when I say energy, when I started like 20 years ago, I didn't know what energy was. And I was thinking, well, don't talk to me about energy. I don't know what it is. What is it that you want me to feel? I don't know what you want me to feel. I mean, it's already complicated to be in the present moment without anticipating. So don't talk to me about something that I don't understand. And because when there's a controlling part is and an anticipation, it's so difficult. It's almost impossible to live in to do here and now and right now, the present moment. So going into inside yourself, being there means your mental, what's happening inside you, starts to calm down and gives you pace to really be with what's happening right now, here and now. And that's so relieving and enlightening. And it's like you putting down all your weight and your luggages, and then you at home. You're in your own home. And IFS Tantra is bringing you to your inner safety, knowing what's happening inside you and being aware of, just like you were before, aware of your heart, aware of the part of you that was fear of being rejected, the one that could imagine I would reject you and criticize you to the way you were approaching me. And it's telling you a story. And it's being aware of that story that you can repair. And being more aware doesn't mean that you go back into that story, but it means you come out of that story more quickly. So there's no perfect, you're not perfect. You haven't erased the past, but by being aware of it, it's not overwhelming you at maybe used to overwhelm you. So that's Tantra is doing that as well in another way because it's working with the body very, very much and is working with where you are in your body and the relationships to your how you see your sex, which is very often put on the side. You know, how you see your hands on your thigh. I say, okay, you can put your hands on your thigh, you can put your hands on your genitals. And as soon as I said that, I could sense, and I did that a bit, tongue in cheeky.
Cheeky, cheeky.
I knew it was like, oh my goodness, if I put my hands on my sexual genitals, then I'm
Yeah.
going to masturbate, maybe, or he's going to do something, or she's going to do something, or she's going to think of something, or she's authorizing stuff, and she's perv, or I'm perv, or whatever, whatever. So it's banging to
Oh, you got me.
beliefs and education and moral stuff.
Yeah, don't worry. I've already jizzed in my pants, so I'm good. I'm good now. No. And you're a woman. I'm a man, and it's like this. Oh, am I allowed to talk about this? Because of this and that, there's all this stuff going on in the world. Yeah. But so we can kind of go into our inner world and re-piece back together these mental parts, but also these bodily parts, these sensations, and you're talking about the perineum, a part that we don't really talk about so much. But once we sort of kind of piece back,
That is so great.
yeah, talk about it. You want to talk
It's
about it?
such a fantastic
Go for
help.
it.
Perineum. Perineum. With
Yeah.
when you sit in your buttocks and you feel in the space inside your buttocks and you are conscious of your perineum, then you're conscious of um, opening and closing a door with the energy flow. And you also, for instance, there's an exercise I do in Tantra workshops. If you want to say no, and really a strong no, and you stand up rather than sitting, you stand up on your own 2 feet, and then you close your perineum and you said no. And if you do that, when you close your perineum, our perineum is the area that when you use it, whether it's a man or a woman or a he, she
Yeah.
may,
Yeah.
whoever,
Right.
whatever kind of jar you
Uh-huh.
are,
Uh-huh.
we all have a perineum. So when you squeeze that perineum, it's like you wanted to stop urinating. When you do that, you squeeze your perineum. And
Yeah.
when you want to have the urine again pee, then you open your perineum. Or if you wanted to stop going for a poo, then you would squeeze your perineum. And when you do that for penis holder, and then your penis just goes up slightly when you squeeze your perineum. It goes up slightly. That means you are squeezing your perineum, and you're not just squeezing your buttocks, or you're not squeezing your anus. You're in the right place. And for um, vagina holders or vulva holders, then when you squeeze it, again, it's when you want to stop peeing. And when you open up, then that's great. And if you do sort of butterfly exercise, like I call it the butterfly exercise, it's like you visualize a butterfly, the
Papillon.
flapping wings, duk, duk, duk. Then this butterfly goes onto a flower. And it hasn't seen a flower for a while. So it's super excited. It goes on the flower and all these wings go tunk, 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 very flapping. But it's
Yeah.
flapping very quick, but very gently. It doesn't go boom, boom, boom. So there's no strength. And working with our perineums, we work with very gentle, but very quick. And so you give it tiny impulse. It's like if you had a little um, a little mouth down at your bottom, and this mouth was saying, just tiny kisses, and that's about the size of exactly. That's the one. Do, do, do.
Like you do the babies. You go like little breaths.
Do, do,
Yeah.
do. And that's in out, but very
Yeah.
gently. And then your butterfly has gone onto this flower, and then it's going some other. The wings are flapping much more slowly because it's been feeding on the nectar, and is much more slower. So that's your
Yeah.
impulse are now you squeeze in your perineum, but gently, not with strength. Your you don't work on your muscles, and you don't work on your buttocks neither, so just your perineum, and you squeeze for longer time, and you release, and you breathe, because I can't see you breathing, Michael. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
Busted.
so you breathe. Ah, and then another part, so you do that as well. So gently you open and gently you close, and you hold that closing, and then you open up, and then you close and you hold that squeezing, and then you open up, and then gently you close that squeezing, and you do that. And the last one that you would do is for about 30 seconds, you would close your wings, because this butterfly is on that flower and he loves it, and he's closed his wings. So you squeeze your perineum for 30 seconds and you breathe, and that's harder for 30 seconds. And when you do that, then what you do is you start to exercising many, many things. You bring consciousness to your perineum, so to your genitals. It brings warmth, it brings energy. You start to feel it. It starts to be like you've got a little bottle of champagne with little bubbles inside this area. And when you're a man or penis holder, then when you do that, you squeeze in and you breathe. That it means you delay ejaculation. It means you're much more aware of your pleasure coming in. And if when you're a woman or vulva holder, then you are bringing also more pleasure inside this area, and then you can breathe in that pleasure and let it go and go and go and go inside you. And by doing so, you gain much more awareness, much more pleasure, feeling of excitement, sensations will envelop you more and more and more and more. So there's movement and breathing. And then if you start to do a sound like when you do that, the whole of that energy wave will go up and roll it, and then it can bring you to orgasmic um, wave, or to orgasm, energetic orgasm, or to real orgasm,
Yeah.
alone or with your partner. And it's and you bring in that movement, and you bring in that slowness and that presence and that connection, and it's very, very goddamn good, for instance. So that's why perineum is very, very, very important.
Well, so the perineum is kind of like a key into tantric sex or into this like tantric state or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, I think everyone wants to hear about how to have this kind of this tantric sex. I guess the perineum is one sort of part of it. Can you talk about? I was planning on asking like, what are some differences between the men and the women? Do we do it differently? But it looks like we both have the same body parts, so that's sort of something we have in common. But
Yeah.
yeah, how do we? We've only got a few more minutes, but can you talk about some sort of ways to have better sex where we're not just reaching for the orgasm or like, oh yeah, like it's an end goal, but we're actually enjoying the process and sort of this more ongoing orgasm or something that we can even take outside of the bed?
It starts outside of the bed. You've said it,
Mm-hmm.
because if you just bring sex in your bed, then you losing a lot of the connection. And what is really important, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for the night, whether it's for the week, whether you live with that person, what matters is what happens within that hour, whether you're there or whether you're not there. If you're not there, you're disconnected. If you're not with what's happening, you're disconnected first to your sensations, and you're disconnected to the other one. If what I learned being a controlling one and giving, and not receiving, is that I was disconnected myself to what was happening inside me to carry on with the control, with the controlling part. So I would not, um, for many different reasons. So the journey starts, say you are a couple, the journey starts well outside the bed. It starts with all the little attentions, saying that I know you there in my life. And it's a little SMS saying hi, it's bringing a cup of tea. So if you were there, it would be somebody bringing you this cup of tea that you're holding with this teddy bear on it and saying, hey, here you are, Michael. And it's you wouldn't ask for it, but it would be there. It's all those little reading a story together, sharing those moments, putting moments for the couple outside bed, which kinds of become so predictable. Like when you take a shower, normally you don't take a shower in the evening, but you take a shower in the evening, meaning, oh, yes, we're going to have sex. So it's so predictable. So it's bringing this awareness and connection and intimacy and vulnerability also into the relationship. So it's even this exchange is bringing a type of intimacy where you could connect afterwards because you opened up to your inner world and you open up to something that you're giving to your partner about yourself, not about the partner, about yourself, and saying, hey, that's how I feel inside. That's what's happening for me. That's a type of emotion. And you owning your responsibility for the relationship. You owning 50% of the responsibility towards the relationship. So the connection starts outside the bedroom. And once you are in there, there's already been a path to more intimacy. And it's also, it's what does your hand do? How is your hand, with which impulse is your hand moved to? Does your hand want to grab for yourself, or is your hand there enjoying the sensation for the sensation? And you become, the sensation, you become the sensation under your hand. So if now, in the last 6 minutes that you've got, you take your hands that are freed of your teddy bear cup. And for instance, just one thing, if you put your finger on this, how do you call this finger in the middle? Major?
The middle finger.
The middle finger.
Very creatively, it's called the middle finger. Yeah.
Okay, so if you put your finger,
or the bird, if I do this, it's called the bird or me flipping you off. But I'm not going to do that. I already did it, but sorry about that.
No, you're not going to do that. But I don't care. You can do that if you want. But it's whichever makes you feel good.
No, why would I do that? Could I do a reverse? Does that mean love? I'll do it. Okay.
No, because that's just using the finger to do an experience. So if you put the other tips on your finger and you press very hard and you try and go very, very hard all the way up to your wrist down, all the way, very hard. You press very hard with your finger here.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And you press very hard and you go there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's happening? Okay, no, I'm not going to ask. And now you take your same finger and you're gonna go on the tip as if you had a bit of lube in between your two fingers and you wanted to very, very gently spread that lube, or very, very, very gently spread it and going down alongside your hand.
Yeah. It's running down my hand.
And then you breathe.
Down to my wrist.
Yeah. Down to your wrist. And now tell me what happened in terms of sensation between the first one and the second one.
The first one was more painful, uncomfortable, and I felt this sort of disconnect between the hand and the wrist. And then when the lube was flowing down, it felt better. Not necessarily pleasurable, but not painful and not disconnected. It felt not bad.
So what you brought is connection. When you say not disconnected, it means more connection. So by focusing on what's happening with your finger and by going slow and by not pressing in, when you're pressing onto the skin, you anesthetize the skin. In Tantra with massage, because massage is really a key to intimacy, you learn to be that sensation and feel that sensation. And to feel that sensation, if you press hard, you don't feel it. If you go very, very gentle and slowly and breathing in and focusing, then you start feeling every single element of that sensation and you becoming that sensation and you breathing in that sensation. So
Yeah.
that's you. And you're not into, oh, okay, where am I going to do next? What am I going to do? Oh, yes, I've got to take my finger down, but not too close. Oh, no, am I going to do some twirls? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? When you do that, when your head, a part of you, is thinking and is anticipating, then usually it's anticipate, am I going to be a good lover? Is she going to like what I'm doing? Is he going to like what I'm doing? Is that good? Am I going in the right position? And by focusing on what's happening, your mind becomes clearer. And when your mind becomes clearer, everything becomes lighter and you're more aware of first connection between you two. And it's the connection that fills the space and not the worry and not the inner critics and not the anticipation and not the scenario. So it's present moment that fills in. And the person who receives that touch is totally aware of that touch. And if you put some rituals around it saying that I'm going to touch you, when I touch you, it's not to go direct to your clit or go direct to whatever, but it's to enjoy the moment, then everything is possible. Then you can relax to the pleasure. You can take the time and you're not a prey to the pleasure of the other person. You are there for your own pleasure and then you can start enjoying and relaxing. And that's really the key to tantra. It's
Yeah.
to it's like a gift, but you're not serving the other. You're not a slave to the other one desire. You are with your own sensations and the connection with the other
Yeah.
person, and that changed the whole stuff.
It's like we could do the same thing. Going back to internal family systems, it's like we can. The bed is sort of the our normal waking life of walking around and getting things, getting money, and getting girls, and getting all these things. But when we're inside ourselves and building these connections and relationships with these different parts of ourselves, and bringing that cup of tea to ourselves and having this kindness to ourselves, these different parts. When you go back out into the real world and you're trying to kind of orgasm in these different ways, like through money and I don't know, getting something, whatever, you can just enjoy the sex is sort of that waking life, and you're just walking through the world and like you can feel good, just like the process of living instead of having to like reach for that quote unquote orgasm in the form of whatever reward or pleasurable thing is out there, this relationship or this money or this job or whatever. And you can just be like, I feel I've built this relationship with myself, with my body, with these internal parts and characters. And you can kind of just relax and like walk through the world. And it's like a more like life becomes this weird act of sex or something.
Yeah, it's love yourself. When you love yourself with this tender, juicy love and benevolence, kindness to yourself, then it's not it's not a noddy yes wordy. It's true. It's working because it's positive stroke to yourself, and that's bringing a virtuous circle. I mean, I'm not just saying that, I'm experiencing that, but there's a lot of studies on the benefits of meditation. Turning your attention inwards, um, getting more understanding and compassion and love to whatever is happening rather than criticism. And it's make you live longer and make you enjoy life better, exactly what you're saying. And orgasm becomes not just the I've got to go and have it, which means if you don't
Yeah.
have it you're very frustrated, but you enjoy the journey towards it. And that
Yeah.
is wonderful because that is so unpredictable. And then you can have heart orgasm, and when your hearts open up and it starts to connect, and it's quite incredible, and you don't have to take drug stuff to get it. It's all natural and built in, and you can
Yeah.
have everything can be orgasmic, and your whole skin is orgasmic.
Yeah.
And then your look on the world is, um, it gives you more patience, and then
Yeah.
less reactions or less reactivity, because you're not triggered as much for a story that you don't know where it comes from. So it's very, very nurturing.
Yeah. The lube might start by running down your wrist onto your arm, and the butterfly might start in the perineum. But it seems like after you get this
Exactly.
going on and on, the lube, your whole body's sort of covered and flowing with lube, and the butterfly is like, it's like there's different butterflies all over your body, or it's one big butterfly is your heart, and it's like, whoa, I'm like this big butterfly full of lube. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. It's beautiful.
Lube, I don't know lube, but try coconut oil, warm coconut oil.
Not lube, yeah, something better. Yeah, that's better.
It's only better because you can use it all over, and it's nurturing. And
Yeah, I don't want to be covered in lube.
well, whatever your fantasy is, Michael.
Some sweet I don't even know what do you want to be
Yeah,
covered in.
whatever fills you with delight, and whatever.
The sweet waters of heaven, I don't know, something, yeah.
Whatever.
So it's like there's these, you said like there's this, the perineum is like this kind
Yeah.
of butterfly. Are there other butterflies in our body that we can kind of do that same kind of flapping movement with? I know, I'm guessing our breath, but are there other sort of butterflies, or whatever you want to call them?
Mm,
Or is that the only one?
it's really for the perineum that I use it, and
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
also lovely to have, but to recognize when you have butterflies, but butterflies of joy and excitement when you see
Yeah.
somebody, and be aware
Wow.
of your body sending you, those little butterflies inside you, saying, "Oh, I'm excited to see that person," and also be aware of signs of danger, because you have signs
Mm,
that tells you it's so good, and recognizing them and sharing them with your partner, and also recognizing signs that your body is sending you in danger. I mean, that's also parts of the growing process, being more attuned between your mental state and your body states. you know it's also making sure you can become an ally with your body, rather than putting it on the side and just nurturing your what's up there.
yeah.
So I guess it's to just reconcile your inner women energy, or female and male energy inside, and also what's the sensation that it's sending you, and being more, yeah, this dialogue, being more aware of that dialogue,
Yeah.
or whatever, trialogue, or sometimes it's a lot of things happening, so it's being
Mm,
more aware, putting awareness
yeah.
inside you.
Focusing on the relationship, the journey, the process instead of the end goal, the
Yeah,
orgasm, the ejaculation or whatever. Just sort of being like, oh, I'm
exactly.
um, this is life. It's just living your life, and stop trying to get things, and stop trying to be the good boy or the bad boy. He's like, I'm all these different things, and life is full of good and bad things, and let's just
Yeah,
sort of move through it. And there's nothing we really have to do or have to be. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, it's awareness.
This is great. I think we can use all this to kind of get a better relationship with ourselves, and with each other, and with the world. Ah,
Yeah.
these podcasts, man, I like them, but like a 1 hour podcast, I know why some people do these long 2-3 hour ones, because it starts getting really juicy, at around the 1 hour mark. But yeah, I think we got to go. All right.
Yes, we have to go. I've got some
Yeah.
patients who are waiting for me now.
Yeah. The sex toy convention.
No, I haven't been to a sex toy convention for a while, but I enjoy them because it's one way
Yeah.
to get to know yourself better, a sex toy, and also imprint some sensations and feelings that you didn't have before. So, for having introduced sex toys in a really healthy, if I can say that, manner, like non-sleazy manner, but
Yeah.
unable, to talk
Right.
and to bring pleasure, whichever pleasure, then yeah, it's a great way to also connect to oneself, a sex toy, and a sex toy for men as well, and female, and
Yeah.
so go and check my website. You
Yeah,
are.
because I'll link up your website and all of that. Is there anything else any other resources you want to add? I think I've got them, but yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find because I did this TED talk and where I was not allowed to, put sexuality or sex in the title because it was too soon. Now you can in France, but I was
Okay.
pioneer
Yeah.
then.
And now you can put psychedelics. You can put all kinds of stuff in titles now.
Yeah,
Transgender,
now you can,
psychedelic,
but
sex, penis. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But you couldn't in 2012, at least in France.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to
Yeah.
bring a TED talk from the States to France to say, hey, listen, the Americans are doing it. Why can't I do it? And I said, all right, then you can do it. So that was opening up the way to other TED Talk speakers. But no, you can check my website. I do tantric seminars as well. They can be also in English and in French, and
Mm-hmm.
you can check. Well, you can see whatever I offer, and I do also private consultings, Visio. So, Michael, it's been a pleasure, and I've got to dash.
Have a good dash. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
See you around. Bye bye. Flap those butterfly wings.
You too, and have a good day.